Manever I say ma PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV there, I see them yopo.
That was a heated one. Kwesi Pratt and Alhaji Fuseini lock horns over.
Much longer time, up to about 3 years, to be able to put the party in a state that will give us a good chance at winning the elections.
Okay.
So exactly that is what I'm sticking with.
Right.
Dr. Mahmoud Bami. I don't think that Uncle Kwesi Pratt deserves a right to speak on this anyway. He's itching too. He's itching too. I've said mine. I've said mine. You can disagree with me, and that's fine.
No, you
decide this.
No, I'm saying mine. I'm saying mine.
So how do you say that I shouldn't be allowed to?
The way you were itching, the way you were moving,
How was I itching?
Anyway, more that's
but
my
if you have this attitude, how do you ever hope to win an election? Of gagging people.
This is by the way. This is by the way. This is by the way, man.
This is by the way.
It's by the way.
Yes. He said he didn't mean it.
Oh, okay. He just said it.
Yes, he just said it. He said it in jest.
So how many things has he said this morning that he didn't mean?
Well, we don't.
Is this the only one?
We don't know that.
Yeah?
We don't know that.
At least he admits that this one he said it
Yes.
without meaning.
Yes.
But he said so many other things. Which ones didn't you mean?
Why are you not having a bite on this matter?
Okay.
How was he?
Master, you see?
Just 9. Only 9.
I can't
Only
nine.
9.
Hold on. You see, this country has a population, some say, of about 32 million people.
It's actually 35 now.
35.
But the Ghana Statistical Service new.
Of this,
35.
of this population, any number that is above 40 years old and is of sound mind has a right to dream about becoming a president. Dreaming about becoming a president is not a problem. Everybody can dream. You understand? Wish to become president. What I think they should avoid is doing voodoo analysis. Because those who do voodoo analysis do not appear to think that we are intelligent enough to read through what they tell us. That's my problem. I mean, dream to become a president, but don't think that we are stupid, because we are not. Okay? Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is a Ghanaian citizen. He's about 40 years old. He's qualified to be president of Ghana on the basis of the constitutional provision and so on. He has a right to dream. But don't tell us that Ghanaians don't vote for first-timers and that Ghanaians are in sympathy or will vote for people who have contested elections before. Let's check the records. Why? Hassan Ayaraga. He joined the political race long before Dr. Bawumia. Have we voted him as president? So how do you make that argument? Huh? LPG, Apalu, he was in the race before Mahmoud Bawumia. We have not elected him as president. What kind of argument is that? What kind of reasoning is that? And then go into our history. Why? 1951. Nkrumah won elections as a first-timer. True or false?
True.
Buzia won elections as a first-timer. 1969. You understand? Liman won elections as a first-timer. 1979. Rawlings won elections as a first-timer. 1992, and so on. And we can go on with the list. That's a bad argument. Don't make it. It has no empirical basis. It is voodoo analysis. And don't give us voodoo analysis on this platform. You understand? Now, this whole thing about Akad 9 pet. My brother, you are also saying that you, well-educated, articulate, respected politician, you're also saying Akad 9 pet. What is the basis? What's the empirical basis of that claim? You think that those who voted for you in the last election, Massa, you think that those who voted for you in the last election will continue to vote for you? They won't shift and so on. We've just had the Akwatia by-election. The Akwatia by-election should teach you that the numbers are not static. They move. And even if you expect 9 to change position and join you, it shows a certain movement. You understand? And that movement is not guaranteed because you are a second timer or third timer in the polls and so on. It's not. So this Akana, I don't know where it's coming from. Very strange. Why? You want to campaign? Stop the sloganeering. Come and tell us what you can do in order to improve the living conditions of the people of this country. Come and tell us the devastated roads that you left behind, what you can do to rehabilitate those roads. You left power at a time that cocoa production had fallen by more than 50%. What are you going to do to revive the cocoa sector? You left power at a time when even as syndicated loans could not be guaranteed. You couldn't get syndicated loans to buy cocoa. Come and tell us what you're going to do about that. You understand? You left power at the time when the city's value had fallen completely. Come and tell us what you will do to revive the value of the city. Come and tell your own party members what is it that you have which Kennedy Japan doesn't have, which Brian Achampong doesn't have. You understand? Which Koble Japan doesn't have, and so on. That is how you become first presidential candidate and ultimately first presidential candidate of the New Patriotic Party, and eventually the president of the Republic of Ghana. You don't do that by sloganeering and voodoo analysis and so on. My friend, let's be serious.
Is that?
Moro, I think that elections in this country are on stages, and those are internal elections. And whatever we are doing today, the aim is to be able to get to the flag bearership of the New Patriotic Party. Even beyond that, because Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is contested in national elections, his outlook and his vision is out there. What he intends to do about the various sectors are out there. I mean, he led in an election that came out with a manifesto. We sold it to the Ghanaian voters, and they came out with the results. That's fine. Now, what we are doing is internal elections, and if this is what is going to clinch us, I don't see why anybody should have any challenge with it. What we are telling our voters is that, look, last time when Dr. went for the general elections, more than 4 out of every 10 voter thought that he was the right person to lead this nation. This time, he needs to build upon what he was able to garner. Simple. You see, all the people that Uncle Kwesi Pratt is mentioned, in Nkrumah's case, I mean, we're running a parliamentary system at the time. Similar with Buzia, the Westminster system, it's very different. A lot of people try parliamentary elections, and they win at the first time. And if by the design of the constitution of the time, it makes them prime minister, so be it. Liman's case, I mean, 79 is for us, all of us to say what happened to us, the PFP-UAC thing. I mean, it's there for us to see. And talking about Rawlings had led this nation for over 10 years. He transitioned into democratic governance. And I mean, he went into that election with a huge advantage. Look at the elections in 1992. The New Patriotic Party had barely 3 months. And I mean, Mr. Kwesi Pratt was an integral person within that era. And it's clear that Rawlings transitioning from a military leader to a democratic leader was automatic. He was a phase that we had seen. I was born in 1975, and all that I had seen from the point of when I started growing up until 1992 was Mr. Rawlings. And so it's an outlier. He should give us any other example, somebody winning at the first time. Even President Mahama, he had gone for these elections as a sitting president and had 6 months or so as the president of this nation going into elections in 2012. So it's just what the Ghanaian voter is made of. That is not to say that we are assuming that is the only thing that we believe. I belong to the faction within the NPP that believe that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia should be given another opportunity to build upon what he garnered in 2024. And that's all we are saying at this point.
Masa, you have admitted right now that there are many other factors which will determine who wins elections.
Sure.
You have just admitted that.
Sure.
So I'm happy with you.
Sure.
To come and tell us that because he's contested before, it gives you an advantage. I think it's
But
bad.
that is what the data shows.
Oh, please. What data shows? What data? There are many other factors, and you have admitted, so I'm okay. I'm okay with that. What troubles me is that you claim that in the last elections, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia came up with a manifesto, programs, things that he wanted to do to improve the quality of life of the Ghanaian people and so on. He lost on that. Is that the same program you are bringing? Is that the same program you are bringing? If you are bringing that same program, then go and sleep. Don't try. Because the verdict on that program is clear. I hope you understand what I'm saying. This is the program you brought, and using your words, sold. Who bought it? You're talking about Akana. Akana, it means that you didn't get sufficient numbers to buy that program. Why do you think that that program would be bought today? If it was rejected 8 months ago or 9 months ago, why do you think that today people are going to buy that program?
The reason I think that people will buy into it is that, look, there were also other factors that were in play in 2024. Amongst them, parties come in 8 years and they leave after 8 years. That's been the convention, if you want to say that. Parties come in 8 years and they leave at 8 years, and it was 8 years. We were in the second term of a government, and no government has broken the 8. We started by saying we wanted to break the 8. Unfortunately, Ghanaians still think that, look, after 8 years, a new party should come and take the reins of this. It's such a strong factor. It will go against, no matter how palatable, no matter how feasible your policies are. Sometimes people don't even consider that. What they say is Mukwaya, Mukwaba. That's it. They don't even want to know what is contained in your programs and policies. It went against us, and it was real. We were going into an election and we wanted to break the 8. We knew it was not going to be a walk in the park, right? But we gave it our best shot. But Ghanaians still say, look, that's what we want. And so that is a strong factor going into elections 2024. In 2020, it's not going to be there. It's not going to be there like that. Look, between 2016 and 2020, President Mahama was able to cover about 500,000 votes. He lost elections in 2016 by over 1 million votes. By 2020, within 4 years, he was covering 500,000. And given, I keep saying, and people now are admitting, some of the people who sat on platforms like this, when you mention some of the factors that, or the headwinds that the NPP had to deal with between 2017 and 2024, who will doubt and who will throw sand into it and all of it. Today, they've started admitting it. The difficulty that the government or the president, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, had to face. I mean, in living memory, it's never happened. Now today, reality, the chicken are coming home to roost. We are facing some of the intricacies. Yes, today we can say, yes, the currency, all of that. It's a result of very difficult decisions that we took. Very difficult decisions. DDEP and all of that, they were very difficult decisions. No, they were not decisions that we ourselves in government were very happy with. But at the time, faced with reality, we needed to do that. And that is what we did. Today, the whole economy, good for oil, you can say whatever you want about it. These were policies that today we are enjoying. And these are policies that is holding our economy today. So Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia himself, his creativity, his humility, his vision, his leadership, I think he stands tall amongst the 5. And I think that Ghanaians have even started appreciating not too long ago that a deputy governor come to admit that some of these policies are building up of our reserves and all of that are what is holding this economy to where it is today. And this is the sort of visionary we are looking at backing to lead our party and to lead our nation.
Master, you see, I have a problem with this attitude. This attitude of some politicians. Please do not ever think that the Ghanaian people cannot identify their interests. The Ghanaian people are not dumb. They know what is in their interest. The election results show that they didn't approve those programs. Unless you want to say that the Ghanaian people are dumb, they don't know what is in their interest. They are so foolish that even when you are acting in their interest, they cannot see it and they will vote against you. That's a horrible position for anybody to take. I believe that the people of Ghana are very intelligent.
I believe so too.
They know what is in their interest. Their vote in elections reflects their true aspirations and a correct evaluation of candidates. So this is about we did our best, we did for Ghana, and the people didn't see it, and the people voted against. Please stop it.
I didn't say that.
Because it is insulting.
I didn't say that. Those are your words.
It is very
I didn't
insulting.
say that. So those are your words. I'm going to say I didn't say that.
So what did you say? I'm ready to listen to you. What did you say? What did you say?
Well, you know, I was
Essentially, I am saying that puts the performance of the government of the new Petro in context. In context, the headwinds that we had to deal with within the 8 years, it's never been experienced in living memory. And those are the challenges we faced. And if at the end of the look, in 2024, 80% of government that went to elections, the US, the UK, obviously all parties, ruling parties, lost elections. And Ghana is just one of us. So if this thing, look, the NPP lost elections, but our party is not dead.
But you see,
Our party is not dead. 80% of parties or ruling governments that went into elections in 2024 lost elections. It was a global thing. It was not unique to the new Petro.
One of the things
what I'm saying is that within the 8 years, we were faced with headwinds that we had to deal with, and we took the necessary and very difficult decisions. Look, the banking crisis, for instance. I mean, all of that. I mean, we took very, very difficult decisions, the implications of which we had to live with. And whatever Ghanaians thought those decisions, how it affected them, went into elections and all. But I'm saying that even beyond that, there's this convention, 8 years in, 8 years out. That's what we've dealt with over the last 32 years. Okay. And you think that it wasn't a factor in the elections? No matter your performance. I mean, if the people are tuned to the fact that after 8 years, we need a new party, I mean, forget it.
Yes. But what you're doing is actually demonstrating the poverty of your analysis then. And I think that you still suffer from poverty of analysis. How? You are saying that this 8-year cycle was so strong that it could not be overturned. You are saying that. I
didn't say it was not. I said we give it our best shot to overturn for the first time. We wanted to break the 8. That is what came out with the break the 8 slogan.
My brother, didn't you say that one of the reasons why you couldn't win the election was the 8-year cycle? That Ghanaians have decided that we should change governments after 8 years.
He said that.
You said that.
Yes, I'm not right.
But you, going into that election, believe that that cycle could be changed.
Yes, of course.
What poverty of analysis led to that conclusion?
Why shouldn't we? Could we say that because we've been in power for 8 years, we're not going to contest elections?
Or we're
not going to go to the voters, or we're not going to try it? Are you saying that we're not going to contest elections because we've been in power for 8 years?
Why?
Why do you think we started saying we wanted to break the 8?
There's no harm in trying. But at the time, your analysis was that your government had performed so damn well that you could change that cycle.
Yes.
That was poor analysis. It didn't happen.
No. And we still stand by the fact that, given the headwinds, contextually, putting the performance of the government in context.
Master, I beg you.
We did a good job for Ghanaians. But Ghanaians are the ultimate judges. Okay. It's not us. Ghanaians are the ultimate judges.
You failed that time. Okay, you failed. That analysis was bad. It didn't give you the results you wanted and so on. Now, we've just elected another government 8 months ago. And if that cycle that you yourself say is very strong still persists, how are you going to win 2024? The cycle that you described, the 8-year cycle, which is unbreakable, so, if it still exists, how are you then going to win 2024?
Uncle Pratt. So I went on to say...
Master, do proper analysis.
I went on to say that for the first time, we have a president who is serving his second term, as whether first term, second term, right? He's come out to say that I am not going to contest in 2028, 4-year term, right? And you know, in this cycle that we've had, Ghanaians have been very patient with governments for the first time. And this is very similar to this analysis. After 4 years, NDC is going to have a new candidate. And the new candidate is going to be the first time on the ballot paper, whoever it is. We need to repeat our candidate so that we don't wish away that advantage that we have on the ballot paper.
Okay.
That's my point.
But obviously, he's mentioned something, and in fact, he's just repeated it, and it brings to the fore an issue that you have been very, very consistent about. You've been waging some crusade against it, which is the rumor which was going around that President Mahama was contemplating on seeking a third term. And you've been on this platform several times, and you said, look, if it is true, the president should desist from it. And if there are also persons who are talking him into that idea, they should watch it. The president has broken his silence on this matter. There are some who say he shouldn't have even said it at all. But some say it's a good idea. Where do you stand?
Well, first of all, I mean, I've been very, very vocal on this matter. And I'm keenly aware of the fact that there are some elements in the National Democratic Congress who are very angry with me. And they think that I have no business, raising these issues and so on. I mean,
really?
if you go on my X page, you see their comments, plenty. You understand? But let me make this point clear. There is no evidence whatsoever that at any time, at any stage, President John Dramani Mahama contemplated amending the Constitution to go for a third term. There's no evidence, just pure speculation and pure propaganda. You remember when the issue of the removal of the Chief Justice started, the NPP's main point was that all of this is in furtherance of an ambition to amend the Constitution for President Mahama to go for a third term. President Mahama himself did not at any time give any indication that he wanted to go for a third term. And that was very clear. So what he has just said does not contradict the position he had taken earlier on. It just helps to clarify his own position on future elections and what role he expects to play in it. Now, maybe you know. Maybe you know. I mean, I have a very excellent relations with President Mahama. Not only President Mahama, many other presidents in the past, and so have been my friends, But President Mahama was on the left, you understand, and participated in many progressive activities before and so on, you understand. And all the time that I've known President Mahama, at close range, I've come to the conclusion that he's a consummate constitutionalist. Consummate constitutionalist.
What does that mean?
He believes in upholding the Constitution. He believes that the Constitution sets forth standards which must be obeyed, even if you do not agree with the provisions of the Constitution. Until the Constitution is properly amended and adopted, whatever is in the Constitution ought to be followed. He's a consummate constitutionalist. Okay? I've also known from my relationship with him that he's not driven by ego and reckless ambition. And all those who know him, you ask them, they will tell you the same. Even if you were to ask former President Nana Akufo-Addo, I'm sure he will tell you the same things about John Mahama. Okay. So right from the beginning, I was sure that he, as a person, was not going to fall for this recklessness. I knew that he wouldn't fall for this recklessness. However, the clamor for him to go for a third term was increasing. I mean, the tempo was increasing. And I'm sure that you remember that a number of chiefs actually jumped in, held press conferences and so on. There was one particular chief who said that very soon, Bibiani will be surrounded by motorways and so on. And that he has done so well that we should amend the Constitution and give him a third term and so on. And that is why I made the intervention. I made 2, 3, 4 interventions, urging him not to fall for this extreme recklessness. One, because of the knowledge of history. You understand? Look, boss, I'm much older than you.
Of course,
you know?
of course.
So I've seen a lot of stuff.
Of course, we used to read from you
No.
when you're in the right.
Achampong became one of the most popular leaders that this country ever had.
Sure.
Achampong was so popular. 1972 all the way to about 1976 and so on, he was so popular. And his popularity was based on his concrete achievements. You understand? He reversed the devaluation of the city, which was very important for business and commerce and so on. Clear. He embarked upon Operation Feed Yourself and Feed Your Industries. Ghana became self-sufficient in food production in 2 years. He took a strong anti-imperialist stand. You understand? He started the production of organic fertilizer and so on. He did so many things and became so popular. Then, praise singers jumped in and said, look, Achampong had done so well that he should stay on forever. And they came up with this silly idea of Unigolf. That is what killed Achampong. In the final analysis, when Achampong was being shot at the Teshi range, Ghanaians were cheering his execution. You understand? We should not put our friends, and people would like, through that. I've seen it before. Achampong lost his popularity in a whip. And you see, when that happened, then they had to mobilize all kinds of group, organizers council, peace council, and Komunini to campaign for union government. So a lot of resources were diverted from the national development effort into waging this useless campaign. Okay? His own democratic credentials suffered. He was a coup leader. No doubt he was a coup leader. Okay? But his democratic pretensions, let me say pretensions, collapsed. Collapsed completely. And eventually he was executed at the firing range. So this is something which has guided me most of the times. Now, I'm not the only person. Dr. Nahoda Hotamako, if you remember, also wrote a piece about why it would be reckless for anybody to push the agenda of Mahama coming for a third term.
In fact, he forwarded it to me last week.
Okay.
On the
Dr.
show.
Nahoda Hotamako,
Yes.
Togbe Dr. Nahoda Hotamako. And he also made reference to what happened to Achampong. You understand? Yes. He made copious references to what happened to Achampong. I think we should be serious. Look, if you really like John Mahama, if you appreciate what John Mahama is doing and so on, protect him from himself and from recklessness. And the only way to do that is to stop this nonsense of a third term for John Mahama. It doesn't make any sense at all. You see, implied in that is an assumption that of the 35 million Ghanaians, only one is capable of leadership. That's an insult to the whole of Ghana. If anybody comes today and says, Ghana, 35 million people, there's only one person who is capable of leadership, don't you consider that as an insult? It's a blatant insult. You understand? And to be honest with you, I felt very proud when President Mahama said that he would not be on the ballot. You know, I mean, President Mahama has, as I say, he's had some master strokes in his political life. One of his master strokes was the decision to select Professor Jane Nana Opoku-Agyeman as his running mate. First woman vice president in Ghana and so on. It provided a dream. It became a beacon that people looked up to and so on. That was a master stroke. This is his second most important master stroke, his decision not to be on the ballot. There are many problems associated with that. I'm aware of it. You understand? Already, there are so many people in his administration who have started campaigning to become president and so on. Yeah. If I were him, I would sack them.
Oh, why
yes. Because listen, there is an agenda to be pursued. There's a program to be followed. The next 4 years, he has to show, he has to build his legacy and so on.
Yes.
Those people are diverting attention from the effort to improve agriculture, to industrialize the country, to improve the value of the currency and so on. And they're diverting attention to some useless ambition of theirs. You understand? They are not focusing attention on his mandate. And that is why he has to sack them to set an example.
Even if they are meeting their KPIs? Targets you've been giving, I'm meeting those
Can
targets.
we mention names of some of the people who are coming up and see whether they are meeting their KPIs? Do you want us to do that? You've been in power for 8 months. Some of them are ministers. As we sit here, even me as a journalist who is reading constantly and searching for information and so on, I don't know what their program is. And they've already jumped into the race, wanting to be president. President for what? I'm so happy that the chairman of the party, Mr. Akwatia, has made a very brilliant, eloquent statement on this matter. I'm sure you've seen it.
Yes, I've seen it.
And he has said that, look, in 2028, we as a party will be campaigning on the legacy of John Mahama. So if you don't build that legacy and you jump into this silly race, and then there's no legacy and so on, your ambition will collapse. So if you're sensible and you have an ambition and want to pursue that ambition, work on the agenda 2024 to 2028. That's what the chairman of the party said. You understand? Now, more. The type of democracy we are practicing is troubling. This type of democracy, what it's producing now, is self-declared leaders. So you go and stand in front of the mirror in the morning, you think you are handsome or beautiful. You put your hands in your pocket and you think you are touching some money. Then you begin dreaming about becoming president. Self-declared leaders is what will happen. That is what this democracy is producing. The proper definition of leaders are those who are ready to make the most sacrifice in the interest of the collective. That is how leadership emerges. Leadership is about those who have what it takes to do extraordinary things, things that the collective is not able to do, or is difficult to find people within the collective who are capable of doing. That is how leadership emerges. But in our case, it's become a competition of the wealthy. And that's why some people wake up and say, look, I have so much money, I spend more money than you in the last election and so on, and therefore, I'm the most qualified to be leader. You know, and we've even had a case of somebody coming up to us, to the Ghanaian people, and telling us that he looks like Nkrumah, so we should vote for him. You remember that?
Yes.
Or you don't remember?
I know.
You want me to mention the name?
I'll be happy.
I'm not on this platform to crucify people. Okay.
Yeah.
You understand? So this self-declaration of leadership, it should stop.
All right, so stay with us. To be done responsibly, a job he will take up seriously. And I'm quoting him. The electorate gave us hope, which has resulted in victory today. Akwatia's name has always been associated with mining, so you can't take away the mining. We only have to do it lawfully. That's what we are going to work on. What we're looking for is development, and we'll make sure we deliver. Now, the victory also brings the total number of seats held by the NDC in Parliament to 183. In the very likely event of the party winning the Tamale Central by-election on Tuesday, September 30 this year, it will bring its total number of seats to the House 184. Now, these are 4 other independent candidates that are doing business with the NDC caucus in Parliament, enabling it to marshal about 188 MPs, more than 2/3 majority for major decisions. And it talks about how peaceful the elections and the shadow box, the shadow boxed, shadowboxing between the minority leader, Alexander Penyomaki, and some MP leaders dragged down a large post of the NDC candidate and so on and so forth. All of these things that happened in that constituency prior or during the election day. There are many other angles to this story, and but I guess that It's basically about the NDC's victory and the NPP's loss. But, obviously, what does this mean for the NDC, and what does this also mean to the NPP?
Well, I think the Akwatia by-election teaches important lessons for all of us.
Okay.
I mean, whether we are analysts, journalists, NPP politicians or NDC politicians, they are very important lessons that this teaches us. And one of the lessons is simply that it is possible to take polling seriously. Surveys. Because once again, global info analytics has demonstrated a capability to predict almost accurately the results of elections. So there must be a method to it. And perhaps if that method is applied, it will help politicians, plan better, campaign better, and so on. So that's a very important lesson which is coming out of the Akwatia by-election. The other important lesson for me is that, look, what has happened shows that in 8 months, opinions can shift, attitudes can shift. So, because the seat was occupied by an NPP member of parliament, and within 8 months, it shifted. Now, if you look at the figures, the last time, the NDC lost by about 2,000 votes.
Yes.
They've now won by about 3,000 votes. Very significant.
More than 3,000.
Okay, but very significant. Okay, and this all happened in 8 months. Now, this should also teach us that those who say that we should abolish by-elections have no case at all. They have no case at all. Because their argument is that by-elections are expensive, sometimes they lead to violence and so on. So if there's a party which has already won it, why don't you allow that party to continue? What has happened in Akwatia shows that within 8 months, the people may want change. You understand? And it brings to question the principle of the right to recall, which is in some constitutions. I know that it's in the Cuban constitution, for example. That at any time during parliamentary life, if the people are able to gather enough signatures, they can recall an MP.
Yeah.
And they can recall an MP if they think your people think that you are not performing well. They can change you.
Right.
That's right. Now, by-elections give us an opportunity to do that here. And this whole idea of by-elections being too competitive and therefore we should consider, then why do we hold elections at all? Because elections have the same problems that by-elections have, the national elections. It involves a lot of money, there's a lot of expenditure, and sometimes it leads to violence and so on. So should we stop the national elections too? Should we stop the elections of presidents and so on? It's a very bad argument. I mean, we shouldn't push it. It's so bad an argument. Because if we were to listen to those people, we would have just asked the NPP to bring a candidate. And the people of Akwatia would have been denied the chance to change. Because it's obvious that they want a change. 3,000, a margin of 3,000 votes is huge in Akwatia. Now, the other thing too that we have to recognize is that a lot of constituencies and even regions and so on are becoming swing regions and swing constituencies. You see, right now, you have Greater Accra. It's a swing region. It can go either way.
Yeah.
Central is swing. Western is swing. You understand? Eastern region has always been almost balanced. But you have 3 swing regions. Akwatia happens to be a swing constituency. So you don't take Akwatia for granted. The people of Akwatia are telling us that, look, don't never take us for granted. Because sometimes they vote NPP, sometimes they vote NDC. What's important to find out is what is it that makes them vote one way or the other. Now, anybody who knows Akwatia knows that Akwatia was built around diamond mining. It became a major urban center because of diamond mining. The last time I went to Akwatia, the state of the diamond mining industry was very, very, very low. So I guess that the unemployment situation in Akwatia has risen.
Right.
Now we do know of small-scale mining or illegal mining in and around Akwatia and so on, which is also a major problem there. Akwatia has very bad roads now. The roads have deteriorated and the roads need rehabilitation and so on. Now, whoever has won the election in Akwatia must know that there's a lot of work to be done. Right. And if he doesn't do that work, the next elections is going out. You understand? Because the people of Akwatia will punish you if you don't do what they want to be done for them. And I hope that you become keenly aware of the fact that you can't take the people of Akwatia for granted.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
What is this? How? I mean, since the results came out, you looked at the numbers. What have you been reflecting on?
Ooh, Akwatia is coming and gone. But you see, Akwatia has been a constituency that, like Mr. Pratt said, Baba Jamal won it in the 6th Parliament. I must say took over in the 7th Parliament. Someone else took in the 8th Parliament. And then our late MP took it again in the 9th Parliament. Remember, our late MP had lost elections even in 2020, but he made a comeback and he won it. So it's a constituency that could go either way, depending on the factors at a point in time. In 2024, going into general elections where we have both presidential and parliamentary elections, I'm sure that people were voting going forward, thinking that we are going to give this honorable member another opportunity to go represent us in parliament. It so happens that God has his ways and calls him to eternity. Within what transpired in December of 2024 and now, certainly the factors are very different. Yesterday, I wasn't in Akwatia, but I was monitoring. There were projects that were started 2 days into the elections. I live in a place where the road in front of my house is not being tarred. We started working on it from 2015 under the garage program, and it's taken 10 years for the contractor to still be on site working. I'm sure my neighbors, if touchwood, there are by-elections in my constituency today, that project is going to influence how they vote.
I don't know why you politicians do that.
I don't think that...
I don't know why.
You see, like I'm saying, the garage project started in 2015 after the Circle incident, the fire incident that happened in Circle. It's taken 10 years. I recollect I was in Parliament when the funding and all that were put together somewhere in 2018. The contractor is still on site. And so projects in this country could take a very long or has very long gestation periods. And so some of these things do affect how people vote, especially in by-elections. There are people who, Akwatia, I should congratulate the NDC. Obviously, they have won their seat. That's fine. Whether or not they really needed to contest the elections like they did, whether or not they needed to take a decision like we have done on Tamale Central, it's another thing for us. But I think that what people have an opinion on as to whether we should have by-elections like we did yesterday. I think that we should continue by having by-elections and giving opportunity to electorates. What the problem is that beside, off my head, I can recollect 2 occasions that we've had by-elections that was not as a result of the demise of a member of parliament. Dr. Fuseini moving camps, and then also, I think in Talents, there was somebody who abdicated, who wanted to go to be a chief and had to, it wasn't Talents, I think that brought in BT Baba or something of the sort. I think it's Talents. Yes. Beside that, I can't recollect any by-election that had happened beside the demise of an MP. And for a politician, sometimes it's...
I think there was a case of conviction of an MP.
Oh, I'm watching. I didn't.
Yes,
I don't
yes.
think they did lead to a by-election.
Amwati one.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. They did.
You know,
They did.
you know. 6 months into a general elections, we don't have by-elections.
Yeah, we don't have by-elections.
And so I don't recollect Martin's case. I don't recollect.
I'm not sure.
I'm also not too sure.
but I
Yeah,
know
but at
the
least
Member of
these two
Parliament
instances
had
is what I
yes.
recollect.
Yes. There was a by-election. I don't recall exactly what, but there was a by-election.
Yeah, I recollect these two. Maybe there was a third one.
Yeah.
But typically, that's what has happened. And to think that the provisions of the Constitution give that by 60 days there has to be a replacement. I mean, sometimes, given our cultural backgrounds, it's a very, very difficult situation to go through. And sometimes there are connotations. I recollect the ban redo issues and all of that, what happened in Asante. It is a very sensitive, and sometimes it could actually go to. And so that goes to support the fact that maybe parties should retain ownership of the seats and find replacement. I mean, that could be an argument. But I think that by-elections also give parties an opportunity, or it's a way for them to measure how they are doing at every point in time. And so we should retain it as it's going. But as to things that transpired in Akwatia yesterday, I mean, taking out the Azoka, Sofu Azoka, and Masood issue, I don't think that we did so badly relative to what transpired in Ablekuma North, the restricted elections a couple of weeks ago. I think that by and large we were okay with what happened. And this is won the seats. I think we're moving on from that point. NPP as a party will take lessons from what happened in Akwatia. We're looking at what happened and why we will lose a seat like that within 8 months. I mean, obviously, like I've said, there were roads construction that was starting. And if people were seeing development in their face, then this went into Akwatia saying that, look, if your mother is in the kitchen, you are better off because when she serves lunch, you are most likely to have some. But if it's your mother's rival, then you are most unlikely to be served some good portion of lunch. And so it just made sense that they will go that route. But all in all, it's not the first time a sitting government had won a seat like that. And for a lot of the by-elections that happened. I mean, NPP won. But NDC went on to win elections in 2008. And so we are taking lessons from it and moving on. As to polling and the impact, polling themselves do not determine the outcome. They tell you how the trend is going, where you were, where you are at every point in time, given how the electorates are thinking. And so polling itself, yes, Musa Dankwa, for me, I think that he's done a good job. I think that he's bringing a new perspective to our elections. Before Musa Dankwa, there were other posters. This is tempting. I won't be drawn into it. There were other posters in this nation.
What have I done?
I don't know.
Musa, what have I done?
Proud to Musa Dankwa and proud to Musa Dankwa. There were other posters.
Please,
I mean,
please.
Bernard
Singh has retired.
I have not mentioned those are.
No,
beside him, I'm sure there were other people who tried to do polling in this nation. And I mean, you cannot be too exact in polling. Look, there was one election that I learned a lot, and the Hillary Trump elections. I went to bed thinking that by the time I woke up, Hillary will be president of the United States. Every poll that went to the direction of supporting Hillary's ascension to the presidency. And what happened? By morning, Trump was president. And so some of these things, polls themselves don't win elections. They are indications. And for me as a politician, for my party as a political party, we'll continue to be more scientific. We'll continue to be taking lessons from this. We'll continue to be more scientific in the fact that we are going to engage some of these tools going into elections and all of that. So it's all well and good. This is where we are as a nation. This is where our system is. I say congratulations to the NDC. But hey, we live to fight another day.
But Master, I think we have to be fair to the current Inspector General of Police.
Okay.
You understand? We have to be fair to him. I think he did a good job. Okay. He was on the ground. And the fact that this thing went off peacefully is also a credit to all the security agencies and so on. And we need to, because before the elections, you remember what we said? All kinds of things that we said, about the role of the police and how they should behave and so on. So if they perform so well, it is only appropriate that we give credit where credit is due. You understand?
You see, talking about the police, I was in Ablikmanov. I was close to action. I saw what transpired in there. I wasn't directly involved, but I was present when all those things happened. Going into Akwatia, our party had made demands on the police service that, look, let's see you act upon the atrocities that happened in Ablikmanov. Thankfully, there was what I would call semblance of action, because I didn't think that, okay, these people went through the process, they were convicted. I didn't think that the fines were punitive enough. That's my personal opinion. I mean, I'm sure that a lot of people watching us this morning will share that sort of thing. But you see, then again, the police approach to Akwatia yesterday, from what I gather, there were 5,000 policemen for that activity happening within Akwatia. And I don't know the size of the whole police service. I think it's maybe less than 30,000. So if we are taking quarter or 20% of our police force into one constituency because of a by-election, you see, I concede by-elections are not just constituency matters. They are more or less national matters, because you have people coming in from everywhere. And I concede that during by-elections, because of the impact or its national nature, the concentration of the forces within a constituency easily allows any fire to ignite, because there will be some sort of tension. But I mean, after the Azoka Maswood incident, you could see leading figures of both political parties being cordial, and that has been the way we have been used to. The police, I don't know, but maybe yesterday they because of the absence of any significant incident, I mean, you give to them, but the build up into Akwatia is still something that I think that we should have a look at, because if people were able to perpetuate things like what we saw in Ablikmanov, and they go to court, they are convicted, and this is the sort of actions, I don't think it's deterrent enough. Right. Going forward, I mean, people will still go out there and perpetuate some of these things, and we should move away from it as a nation.
But at least in this case, there was arrest. In this case, there was conviction.
Right. Yes, but you
there
see,
were other cases where there was no arrest, no conviction.
When I saw the video of what transpired between Sofa Azoka and Maswood, I shudder to think that the police were more or less, for somebody to, I don't know whether any level of provocation will allow you to shove your hand into my face like I saw in the video. I don't know whether any level of provocation will allow the young man who I saw slapping Maswood in the video to do what he did. And I'd expected that the police would have caused some arrest. I'd expected that the police would cause some arrest and give us updates this morning on what transpired.
It is still an improvement from the past.
I expected that doing right per the laws. If somebody hits another person, no matter, no level of provocation, would rationalize that. And so I expected at the point that the police would make some arrests. But what happened? The police were there, mostly unarmed, and they were rather sort of begging the NDC faction and all of that, and I thought that it was unfair. If at the time Maswood had also had an entourage like Sofa Azoka did, only God knows what would have been reporting this morning. And I think that the NPP had gone in there. If you look at that video, Maswood had this outlook of a jovial. I don't speak Dagbani. I'm not too sure what the exchanges were, but the reaction of Sofa Azoka at the point, to say the least, were very disappointing. If you say I also West Wagon, you see, in I also West Wagon, I was a polling agent in Abilinkpi. In that elections. In that elections, I had most leading members of the party, because Abilinkpi was seen to be the stronghold of the NDC. And I was a polling agent. Most of the leading members of the NDC came through my polling station, and it was very cordial. As to what happened elsewhere,
the shooting didn't happen.
As to what happened, and I keep saying that because of the national nature, because of the tension, because of the tension within the constituency, you would expect that the least light will ignite fire. But I expected that the police would have taken action at the point that Masoud was attacked yesterday, and not wait until this morning or an afterthought for people to be taken to court, convicted, and given some minimal sentences and all of that. I think that we can do better to be able to deter such behaviors at elections.
Okay. Now speaking about the Erica Martin matter, he was elected Member of Parliament in 2005, and his trouble started November of that year.
The same year, 2005.
Yes, the same year, November. And then he had to, he had to resign from that position in 2007, February. And then in March, same 2007, the Electoral Commission declared that, you know, the seat had been vacant and so on. And so the political party started campaigning for it. So there was a new MP in the same 2007. Okay. So that's just a long and short.
Also retained by the New Patriotic Party, right?
Yeah, it was retained by the New Patriotic Party. One visit Derek Odro.
Oh, Dero.
Major Derek. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yes. But I've had a lot of
That was a heated one. Kwesi Pratt and Alhaji Fuseini lock horns over Akana and Pep campaign analysis of the NPP. What's your take on this crash? Drop your thoughts in the comment section below because we want to hear from you. If you really enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like this video, share it with others, and of course, subscribe to PENDREAM TV for more fearless political analysis and breaking news updates. Stay tuned because the debates are only getting hotter. See you in the next video. Thank you. PENDREAM TV.
Now, so far so good. Say open online portal e wo Ghana. Nipa share, nipa follow, nipa comment here. To my best of knowledge, without any biases, PENDREAM TV.